Video game news.
CFM Radio.
CFM Radio. It's Wednesday, my dudes.
It is once again Wednesday. That means Clusterfuck Media is back with the video game music and news.
I'm your host, Vector. We hope you are tuning in to us live over on YouTube, youtube.com/clusterfuckmedia. As always, with me is my co-host, Drix. Drix, how you doing?
Dude, doing pretty good, you know. Coming to the end of a league of pinball at my local spot, which just got featured in Stern's. Stern, the big pinball manufacturer. Stern's Brewery of the Month was my local brewery.
Whoa!
And it's cool. I see a picture during their Jaws launch party tournament that they just had last weekend, because Jaws is their latest game. And yeah, I'm seeing all my friends, you know, go participate in your local scene, whether it's playing cards, playing Dungeons and Dragons, or what I like to call a video game on vinyl, because it uses real physics instead of programmed physics. That's what pinball is, converting all your fun into a stainless steel sphere.
A sphere of pure joy that flicks all around an awesome themed playground of electric lights and a symphony of amazing sounds. I love me some good pinball. That's one of the big things I miss about living in Vegas, is going to Pinball Hall of Fame. I love that place.
Yeah. That's, if you're going to hit one pinball place in America, you know, traveling here, the Pinball Hall of Fame in Vegas is one of them. A lot of machines busted because they're so old, so it is
so
a bit
old.
of a museum, you know. But pinball games, you know, they require some maintenance. Kind of like skateboards, you know, if you're not scratching it up a little, like, are you really using it?
Yeah, are you really boarding? You know,
Are you really skating?
You know, well, we love all kinds of games here at Clusterfuck Media. It's amazing that Drix is over here essentially being part of history, with his brewery being a local brewery for Sturms, or a showcase local brewery for Sturms. Sorry, but
yeah, Brewery of the Month and Game Room of the Month for the people who can build their own arcade at home. Yeah, those are two simultaneous things going on.
You know, speaking of game room, I don't have much of a game room or a game room theme, but you know what? I've been playing a lot of games, Drix. I've been playing a lot of games over here.
Different game?
I've been playing a lot of games, a lot of different games. We just got done on Tuesday with Jade Cocoon over on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/CFM on Twitch. Make sure you follow us over there if you haven't. It was an awesome playthrough. You know what? I do not remember Jade Cocoon being quite so short.
Yeah, when you commit, you know, the right amount of Twitch on-air time to it, like you can plow through some games.
Gosh, I really did plow through that game, didn't I? You know, Jade Cocoon Story of the Tamamayu, PS1 classic. I loved that game. But I gotta say, Dragon Force was my retro goldmine game that I played. Gosh, that was a 7-day grind. But Jade Cocoon, I crushed that dude in 4 days of gameplay time.
Yeah, bit of some nastiness towards the end of that Dragon Force playthrough, but yeah, not to mention the Pokemon card game for the Game Boy Color.
But we would expect that, so Pokemon card game was kind of the same length as Jade Cocoon, which is actually a funny thing to think of in retrospect, because
now we measure stats like this. Like
we can
hours of gameplay.
Yeah, we totally can, and you know, it's one of those things where Jade Cocoon, it feels like it felt like it may have felt in real time, I should say, like it was taking a while, but you know, we had a couple technical difficulties over that streaming session. You know, went through a capture card. It was pretty gnarly. Like,
lost a whole day.
Yeah, lost a whole day.
Came back and knocked it out in no time at all. Like, you know, quite a speedrunner, almost.
A little bit, I guess. You know, unintentional speedrunner. But
yeah, and also, you know, you're skilled at the game.
Yeah, I guess so. Turn-based RPG.
Yeah, you've been there before, you might know a few roads.
Right.
Some people really struggled with the boss that I beat in Mega Man Legends, and I was like, no, dude, you get the powered buster, you go and you have roll, make the sweet bazooka, and you use the bazooka to take out the boss. It's a lot easier than jumping on his back or whatever. Yeah.
Nah, dude, just blow him up, bro. Why even worry about it?
Get the good gun and shoot him with it.
Yeah, shoot. That's what it's there for. Like,
yeah, when you face off against Teasel Bond and his giant robot in Mega Man Legends or 64.
Yeah, just keep Arpatron as Arpatron and Jade Cocoon, and he just crushes the whole game. Like,
let him do him.
Just
let him cook.
Let him cook, and he goes through it. But that's what's coming. That's what's coming next. Because Drix, you're still going through your retro gold mine. So I'm at a crossroads, and I want to say right here on CFM Radio, I have a proposition for us, and I'll put this is going to be the first of 2 polls that will dictate what I play next time on stream. So I've got a new series idea bubbling up in my head. It's called Yesterday's Game Today. I've got a big backlog, like I'm sure a lot of people do. And especially after the last year that we had, oh my God, there were so many good games. Who could get to them all?
Yeah, we might need to, blaze a trail for some who just haven't seen quite yet all the wonderful things that have already happened.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of maybe playing a game that's a little bit more recent, maybe within the last 3-4 years, that, essentially COVID-era games, I suppose, and running through them for the first time, that are in my backlog, and just running through them for the first time. And because at this point, games are pretty much done. No more updates for single-player experiences. If they're multiplayer-based experiences, we'll see where they are at that point. But I think this is I think that is, for my money at least, like I said, there were a ton of games that came out last year, and there was this year's momentum, it did not stop. So there's a lot of games out there. So I'm trying to help you guys bust your backlogs by going through my own in real time with you and giving you my raw reactions as I have them right there. So that's yesterday's games today. Otherwise, I could just go through another RPG theater. So that's going to be the first poll that we get that I post up. It's going to be on all our socials: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. It'll be here on YouTube too, don't worry. So either,
and we'll tally those votes.
Yeah, we'll get it up because your vote will matter. Will we bust a backlog in yesterday's games today, or will we keep going with the RPG theater and then have just the second poll be what are we playing?
Yeah, man. I hope in one of those shows you're talking about Sonic Frontiers. I hope we play Sonic Frontiers. I want to play Sonic Frontiers.
Hey, you know what? Sonic Frontiers is eyeballing me right there. It's I've been waiting to dig my heels into Sonic Frontiers, but Drix, that's a good thing to lead me into what I want, what I have been doing. And I want to get the first thing out of the way before I jump into my main one of the first main segment of the show. The Unicorn Overlord review. Listen, guys, this game is way longer than I gave it credit for. I think I'm about just over halfway through, maybe at the 65% mark. It's kind of crazy. I'm gonna need another week. We got I don't want to come. I don't think this is one of those games where I can clock in the 25 hours that I clocked into it and say, yeah, you should buy this. I want to make sure that the whole thing is good from start to finish, because this is feeling like one of those games where a bad ending could really ruin it.
Oh, yeah. No, take the time, make the review worth it. Put it out there once and do it right the first time.
And hey, absolutely. And we even have outlets like Destructoid and Giant Bomb. Their reviews are just now coming out this week. So I don't feel too pressured if the big dogs are still placing their reviews and getting their voices heard out there. But the one game that I do...
I'm restarting the same save on the demo. I still haven't even hit 5 hours. I'm trying to get a battle right and actually learn what all the units do.
Oh yeah, dude.
So once I learn enough, yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick up Unicorn Overlord.
And it's incredible. I absolutely recommend it to anybody who is even remotely interested in strategy RPGs. If you like games like Marvel Midnight Suns, XCOM, Fire Emblem, Dragon Force, Ogre Battle, any of them, you definitely want to pick up Unicorn Overlord. But I've been playing another game that a lot of people have been having a lot of buzz over, and I want to give my first impressions on Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yes. Wagons Llama.
Yeah, Wagons Llama. Hey, you know what, Drix? I gotta tell you, sometimes the wagon, it do be llama-ing. Like,
Yeah.
the wagons, the wagon.
Chicken.
Yeah, this game is okay. So, I'm gonna put this out there. I'm not a guy who likes to say, stick with this thing for an extended period of time because it gets good after this part. I hate that. I don't like One Piece because you got to stick with it for like 30 episodes before it gets good. I like things to be put their best foot forward as soon as they can.
Yeah, not an acquired taste. Like, you should like it at the first taste.
Yeah, you know, for a $70 purchase, absolutely. And I think Dragon's Dogma 2 definitely does not put its best foot forward. It definitely, like, the first impressions of this game, first of all, I gotta say this. For fans of Dragon's Dogma, you're probably gonna love it. This is essentially Dragon's Dogma Turbo. Like, this is, they fix all the things about the first one that were weird and wonky, except the stats and how certain things in combat work and how certain things play out in action. But more so like the performance issues. Everything in this game is pretty smooth. The frame rate can drop, but that's only when, like, you're fighting like a mob of goblins and then a griffin flies in from overhead and then a minotaur jumps onto the scene and crashes through everything and makes the physics go brr. Like, so yeah, things can slow down and it can go crazy, but only when the game itself is just going off the rails.
Yeah. I mean, have you had to pay for fast travel yet? Is going to be my first question.
I actually haven't engaged with microtransactions at all. Full disclosure, I'm playing on a PS5, not PC. Okay. So I don't have any of those PC hang-ups that you've been seeing rumored around the internet. But as far as the microtransactions go, as far as like buying fast travel, listen, you could get everything in like when they say that you can get everything in the game, you can get everything in the game. I've already gotten 4 fast travel stones. I've only needed to use I've gotten 6 in total. I've only needed to use 2.
Huh. Okay. But still, it may force you to, put in the time to get to know every part of the map and every fight.
Yes. And that's
the journey, as they say, but
that's one of the things that I have to say is about this game is that you really need to give it your time. It demands your time. This game is not a game for somebody who just wants to pick up some sort of like a Skyrim-esque experience. This is not that game. No. This game forces you. This is like Skyrim EX. It's like as if Skyrim was like for like a hardcore, like Skyrim as made by like Obsidian Entertainment, because the game is very much an RPG that feels old school. There is no fast travel. You have to either pay for it with real money or find it out in the world. Like get it from mission rewards and things like that. there are certain shops that sell it, but like the amount of gold that it takes is it's a substantial amount. Gold is plentiful in this game, but it's not like you don't have to think about what you're buying. You do need to make informed choices. And honestly, that is the best part of the game. The best part of the game is that you feel like from gameplay choices to story choices, even though the story is, to me, feels as paper thin as Skyrim, essentially. Like, it doesn't feel like the story. There's nothing to write home about the story. There's no characters in it that I feel connected to or anything like that. But the world is fantastic, and the emergent moments that happen within it are enough to keep me coming back. The character creator is pretty cool. I think it's really good. It's just about as good as any Dark Souls game. If you played Street Fighter 6, you have a good idea of what the character creator can do. I'll say it like that.
Nice.
This game is made in the RE engine. So, full disclosure.
Capcom away.
Yeah, it's definitely Capcom-y. And but this game, Drix, I gotta tell you, this game doesn't really start revving its engines until about the 10-hour mark.
Okay. Yeah, I asked, even on our last reel, on our new release reel for Dragon's Dogma 2, we posed the question, like, is this anime Baldur's Gate 3? And streamer buddy of mine said, no, it's more like Dark Souls Monster Hunter.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and from what I saw on the stream, that looks pretty accurate. Except, yeah, you get to build a party in your Dark Souls monster hunting.
Yeah, and that the pawn system comes from the first Dragon's Dogma game. It's pretty much a staple of the series.
Okay.
But I will say the Monster Hunter-esque aspects of the game. Climbing on monsters, pulling them down to the earth, mobbing them with a bunch of people. The game introduces you to that idea in a really cool way because you mob down a big ogre kind of creature with like 5-6 dudes. Like, so it's way bigger than your party.
Oh,
like than your standard party. So it's like you got like dudes hanging off of each limb of this monster and just hacking away at it. So it looks really cool, right? But when you're actually in the world, it's a little different because it can get pretty cumbersome when it's in the world and you're in these, like you're seeing on the B-roll, in these confined spaces. These big guys, they do cool things like they like become bridges themselves and like, you know, because they're big and burly and they're trying to hang on. Like I said, there's a lot of emergent gameplay that happens. Enemies react surprisingly dynamically to their situations. Like it doesn't feel like you're just fighting a bunch of pre-programmed things most of the time, right? Like enemies will grab you, they'll pick bodies up off the floor, throw things at you, like try to. There will be like boulder traps set in the world. Enemies will try to like hit them and like set the trap off on you and crush you with the boulders, things like that. So cool things do happen, but actually climbing on the guys and like bringing them down like that, it feels pretty random. Like actually getting on the guy and hitting the big monster it doesn't feel like your attacks have a ton of weight unless you're using the two-hander class, and then the two-hander class doesn't even really knock the big enemy over in the way that like the game advertises in that Monster Hunter way, where you're like climbing on the dude and knocking him down because you're hacking away at him on his back or on the back of his knee or something like that, right? Like, that doesn't happen. What happens is you do your charge up Phantasy Star Online style moves, and then you use your impact stat to like knock them over, and then they fall over.
Slightly
So
different combo, you know?
yeah,
selection than Monster Hunter?
A little bit, because it ends up feeling a lot less like Monster Hunter and a lot more like Final Fantasy 16.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, the Devil May Cry of RPGs.
Yeah, it feels like a lot more like I'm hitting this guy until he can't take it anymore, and then he falls over in like pain, and then I get some free hits, you know. and in that free hit, in that moment that I get the free hits, I can climb on him and get a good position and like get on the back of his head. So it looks like I have this epic moment where I'm like hacking and slashing at the back of his head on like, you know, like Shadow of the Colossus style. Like it's more for the spectacle. And that's the thing that I'm realizing about the game as a whole. It focuses heavily on the spectacle. It took me a long time to feel powerful in this. Like I said, about 10 hours deep. It took me a long time to feel powerful in this game. Feel like what I was doing actually mattered and actually felt like I wanted to do anything. But now that I'm in it, the world is good. You always want to feel like you always feel like there's always something around the bend that you want to see. Whether that is a moment of horrible tragedy or absolute triumph in finding something like a cool treasure or beating up a big enemy, you know, like combat isn't very deep. You have like 3 attack buttons, and then you hold down the L1 button and it opens up your mapped special moves onto your face, one of your 4 special moves on your face buttons, you know what I mean? Like it's all very basic. There isn't anything to write home about the combat, and a lot of the times it feels very combat by numbers. But if you're really into like this emergent gameplay and like making your own story kind of thing through the gameplay experience, then yeah, you definitely want to pick this game up, I would say. I'm going to be playing it. Hopefully I'll be able to give it to you, a review to you next week alongside Unicorn Overlord. But this is also another game that's supposed to be fucking enormous. Like, from what I understand, there's a whole, like, I'm in one map, and it's huge, and there's, like, a whole other continent that's another map.
Yeah, bit to chew through there.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I'm having a good time with it. Doesn't put its best foot forward, but if you are willing to give it the time of day, it rewards you with a game that not only looks beautiful, but rewards the player for their forethought and taking their adventure seriously as it's an adventure to be prepared for, something to be prepared for and executed and planned for and executed, rather than just being like, all right, well, I just got done killing a bunch of things in a cave. Now I happen to come across this village so I could sell all the things that I got in the cave. And now I'm going to go get another cave. You know, like, no, you don't want to be like out at night in this game. You don't want to be caught unaware in this game. You know, dying sucks. Like, it's not exactly Dark Souls, but it's not exactly not. Like, it's
hard.
Yeah, it definitely demands more out of you than most games, for better and worse, I would say. For better and for worse, I would say.
Yep, gotta take the bad with the good sometimes.
Absolutely. And that is absolutely Dragon's Dogma 2. I definitely think that this is a game that if you give it the time of day, it will reward you for your time. But you got to be willing to do it. And there are games out there, for my money at least, there are games out there that offer everything that they are good at right up front and don't ask anything from you.
Yeah, you don't got to dig 10 hours deep to have a good time.
But, whoa. This synth. What do we got going on here, Drix?
This is from the Amiga console. You know, discovering a lot of good music on the Amiga. Gonna have to get a ROM collection soon. But this is from a game called Gods, which also appeared on other consoles. This is the main theme, Into the Wonderful.
Gods, Into the Wonderful, the main theme, CFM Radio. Jam out for some Amiga, guys.
Let's go.
CFM Radio. wonderful, into the wonderful. Wonderful.
I CFM Radio.
Gaming news.
That's right, folks. It's time for some gaming news. We're going to jump right into it, Drix.
Oh yeah, time for the news portion of CFM Radio, video game music and news.
Video game news. Now, we've got new games this week right around the corner, but first, we want to see the latest news from the spiritual successor to BioShock, the game Judas. IGN's Ryan McCaffrey sat down to play the game, and the headline is, quote, Judas first details how Ken Levine is building on BioShock with narrative Legos.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, you're telling me, Ken Levine, this guy's been around for a long time. And from the article here, he says, quote, McCaffrey says, quote, you start the game having been reprinted, yes, meaning you were dead, where you'll wake up and begin interacting with the holographic projections of the three leaders who run the ship. Tom, the ship's head of security, who wants to protect all of humanity by ensuring the Mayflower's original mission stays on course. Nefertiti, the ship's Nobel Prize-winning doctor, who wants to create a civilization full of robots with no human flaws. And Hope, who wants your help deleting herself because the existential crisis of her existence leads her to the conclusion that deletion is the only way to end her suffering. Further complicating the matters is that three of them are a family. Tom and Nefertiti were married, and Hope was their adopted daughter. It's up to you to side with whomever you feel like, but whatever choice you make has consequences. Doing a favor for Tom might piss off Hope and or Nefertiti, and vice versa. And that's what I think Tom Levine says means by narrative Legos, because the article goes into an interview as well with Levine himself and Game Awards founder Jeff Keighley.
Wow. Yeah, definitely some adventures upon which you will choose your own.
That's kind of his thing. The lengthy interview discusses Levine's past projects, how they influenced Judas, and what narrative Legos actually mean, even touching on post-launch updates. It's a meaty piece that any BioShock, System Shock, or Thief fan will want to sink their teeth into, and that headline is Judas first details how Ken Levine is building on BioShock with narrative Legos. And Drix, I gotta tell you, the when he goes into the nuts and bolts, no pun intended, of the narrative Legos, how these things, how they're it's more like the game reacting, like acknowledging your decision and then having all the other choices in the game react to them by adding or subtracting choices.
Yeah. This is totally what you want out of a video game when you get into it. May have even showed up as early as like Chrono Trigger and stuff. But yeah, it sounds like he's getting really into the nitty-gritty as far as having a lot of paths to follow and a lot of options for storytelling, playing with his Legos.
Those narrative Legos,
Ah, no, brick by brick, he's building something new and original for players to experience every time.
Yeah, I'm personally a big BioShock and Thief fan. I wasn't a big fan of the PS4 Thief, the reboot, but I do love like Thief the Dark Project, Thief 2. I love those. Those are great games.
Yeah, some early stealth action.
Oh hell yeah! And those are some of my favorite games. I absolutely love Thief. And BioShock, who that game, and System Shock, all those games, they just define what how narrative games are, or how narrative is weaved into games today in such a profound way. I mean, System Shock just had a remake. If nobody played it, if you haven't played System Shock before, that remake's probably the best way to do it. If you want to be more familiar with Ken Levine's work, you definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder. That is definitely some sci-fi like I can't wait to dig into.
And like I said, we've got some new releases right around the corner. So, well, let's talk new releases. There's only a couple.
All right. Yeah, some bangers to unleash.
They definitely do look like some interesting games. Because first up, we have Pepper Grinder. And that is hitting PC and Switch. From the Steam page, quote, Pepper Grinder is an action-packed 2D adventure blending traditional platforming with an alternate drilling mode that allows you to dive in and out of the earth like a dolphin swims through water. That one is releasing tomorrow, Thursday, March 28th. And Drix, it's been racking my brain ever since I've been looking at this game. Wasn't there a DS game or a GBA game? There is a handheld game where you were a girl in a driller machine.
I mean, I remember Mr. Driller, but that was a PS1 like puzzle.
That's like an arcade PS1 puzzler, right?
Yeah, this is more of like a Metroidvania experience with your drill.
I gotta say the ability to carve through the ground effortlessly sounds pretty fun. Sounds like it's gonna be pretty fun to control.
Yeah, and hopefully, they took some of the better points of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, where you get to drill around, but it doesn't defeat the whole purpose of having a dungeon and monsters. Yeah,
it kind of goes hand in hand with the dungeons and monsters. It's looking like, at least from this B-roll, man, definitely a game that I would probably lean on purchasing towards Switch.
Yeah, for your retro box indie gamer experience. I mean, yeah, pretty much every indie game, Dave the Diver hitting the Switch was kind of a
that's kind of crazy.
Waves. I'm playing Unicorn Overlord on the Switch just because,
same.
All the hours you sink into that one, you're gonna want to take it with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally
with that bad boy.
I totally feel you. I go back and forth to my girlfriend's place, and I grab some Unicorn Overlord, sneak in a couple of battles here and there. It's pretty good. Nice little way to get that, like maybe a side mission or two done.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm still just restarting my save and trying to play the same fight over and over again. I'm not good at it. Haven't even hit, the 5-hour mark of the demo.
Hey, I can't blame you, though. There's a lot to love. But I will say, we've got one more game that we got to talk about. So next up, we have Open Road.
Yeah, we got a pretty pleasant cartoon art style on this one.
It looks beautiful, I got to say. This one is releasing the same day as Pepper Grinder. And from the Steam page, quote, long lost family secrets, hints of a hidden fortune, and miles to go before they sleep. Tess Divine's relationship with her mom has never been easy, but they're about to set out together on a journey into the past that they'll never forget. Now, Open Roads was announced back in 2020.
Ooh, so that's taken a minute.
Yeah, it's been
effort put into this one.
Yeah, and I think like you were saying, this cartoon art style is very dynamic, and it looks like it blends into the gameplay as well. So
yeah, it looks like your favorite like animated 90s movie.
Yeah, like X-Men Evolution style Saturday morning cartoon get vibes.
Yeah. Or even like Goof Troop, but without all the animals.
Without the goof.
Yeah, goofy movie.
This will be the not so goofy movie, and that's hitting you tomorrow, Thursday, March 28th, 2024. Those are the two games that we have. Those are the two modest new releases. And you know what? For being a couple of modest new releases, they're pretty interesting. They're pretty different. We've had a lot of big AAA releases that over the past couple months where their iterations on already well-established formulas. Unicorn Overlord strategy RPG, Dragon's Dogma 2 open world fantasy RPG, open world action RPG. We had lots of shooters already, but
yeah, touching all the bases.
Yeah, and not to mention crazy new stuff coming out of left field like Pal World. You know, there's no shortage of crazy heavy-hitting games that you might not have a ton of time, or you might not want to sink your teeth into these experiences that are like, all right, you dip your toe in, now I need another 40 hours from you.
Yes. Do what you will with that information and spend your time wisely.
Spend your time wisely.
So can't play them all. Everybody's got a backlog.
And then on top of it,
just play one game.
And you know, on top of it, like we were saying, Drix, this game Pepper Grinder, I'm leaning towards Switch, because it seems like a game that you would be able to get lost in and sucked in, even on the go.
Yeah, if you can, get a level or feel a sense of accomplishment after like a 15-30 minute session. I know all my gamer parents out there appreciate that, like our buddy Game Junction.
Yes,
something I heard from him.
And hey, you know what? I appreciate. I feel the sentiment for all of our busy gamers. And like I said, these games, these experiences, such as Pepper Grinder, you got the Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series that's on sale right now on the PlayStation 5 for $5. You have jump in, jump out jump in and jump out stuff like Helldivers 2, where you could, set yourself some time in the evening, so you only have time for one game session per day, one game session per week. Boom, Helldivers 2, get all your buddies together. You only got time to play a little bit per day, maybe an hour, 2 hours per day. Get yourself Unicorn Overlord, put it on the Switch, take it with you. It's worth it. Even on the small screen, you definitely don't want to miss that narrative. So definitely a lot to sink your teeth into. So you might want to pick up one of these games as like a cool down, right?
Yeah, your average game of Dota, I usually play Turbo, but if you play Turbo, you're gonna want to sit down for at least 30 to 45 minutes.
Yep.
An hour if you really duke it out. But a regular game of Dota like you'd play in a tournament, you got to be ready to sit there for an hour, and might want to cool down after something stressful happens on the internet.
And Open Roads might
puzzles, whatever you do to relax.
Yeah, Open Roads might be that game, after just sit down. Open Roads coming out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series consoles, PC, Switch. So you could play this. Another one you could pop in on your Switch. Just got done with the 45-minute Dota game. Whew! Just relax with Open Roads.
Yes. Get a little closer and maybe improve your relationship with your mom.
Just a little bit, but
you're a narrative mom.
Your narrative game mother. But I gotta say, Drix, this crazy beat is making me get a better relationship with my dance groove. What is this?
You could say this beat is unreal because it's a song called Razorback from Unreal Tournaments.
Oh yeah, back when hardcore high octane action meant dance your heart out. Unreal Tournament, CFM Radio. We'll be back.
CFM Radio.
CFM Radio, video game news.
Yeah,
Gaming news.
It was called 1998 from Dance Dance Revolution. From a lot of versions of that game.
DDR, you gotta love DDR because no matter what DDR machine you go up to, you'll probably have at least one of your favorite songs on there.
Yeah, do yourself a favor, check them out. And right now, we're coming out of a song called Brave Parade from a sweet action game for the Sega Saturn called Guardian Heroes.
Guardian Heroes. I once played Guardian Heroes with full 8-man PvP, and I came out on top as the undead hero.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time, getting those multi-taps tapping.
Dude, so awesome.
A bunch of people play on one console.
Is this, Drix, is this also a Sega Saturn?
Yup, we are in the amusement world.
For Saturn Bomberman. Fuck yeah. All right, I'm geeking out, but we gotta get into the news before I geek out too hard.
Yes.
Gaming news.
Gaming news. Here we go. Now, last week was the Game Developers Conference, the GDC, and while a lot of news came out of the GDC whirlwind, our good buddy Phil Spencer, you know him, you love him. He spoke to Polygon, and I think the headline says it all, Drix.
Oh yeah. Phil can't stay out of the news, Spencer.
Phil always in the headline, Spencer, and that headline is, quote, Phil Spencer on what the hell is happening in the games industry. From the article, quote, in 2024, most games are sold across multiple storefronts, often steeply discounted mere weeks after release or included as part of subscription services on launch day. Plus, the games themselves take many years to create with the help of hundreds, if not thousands of team members, sometimes spread across the world. All of this adds up, and as Spencer says, it can cost, quote, $300 million to build a video game.
Yowza. That's pretty penny.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. And you know what, Drix? Spencer is laser focused on the growth of the games industry as the games of video games, as an industry in this article. And he speaks a lot about video game exclusivity, layoffs, how ballooning costs lead to specific problems, and he lays them out in the article. But I think his main goal is most clearly stated at the end. Oh, yeah. Oh, Spencer says, quote, this notion that Xbox can only be this one device that plugs into a television isn't something we see in the Gen Z research, because nothing else is like that for them. Some of them will have an iPhone, some of them will have an Android, but all the games and everything is the same. I can still get to TikTok on both of them, at least for now. All of their stuff is available wherever they want. So for Xbox, our brand pivot as we attract and maintain relevance with a younger audience is, quote, Xbox is a place where I can find the great games I want to. Drix, it's all about the kids.
Oh, man. Sega. We remember Sega. But, wow. I mean, yeah, he's kind of it sounds like he's abandoned people in our demographic.
Oh, Drix, again, I want to say, I'll say it like this. He says it right here. I don't have to say it. He says it. So far for Xbox, our brand pivot, right there, brand pivot. Everybody listening right now, right here, Polygon says it in their article. It's Phil Spencer, Xbox brand pivot.
Yeah, they're pivoting to not making any more consoles. Is what they're doing.
They're pivoting away from big name video games. Like
yeah.
We're pivoting towards Roblox in our Xbox partner showcase. Like
Yes. I mean, they're all in on Game Pass, or they may or may not exit the gaming industry.
Yeah, exiting the gaming industry.
Yeah, I mean, why even call it an Xbox if it's an app and not a box?
But Drix, Xbox, Gen Z, this notion that Xbox can only be this one device that plugs into this television, it's not what they see in the Gen Z research, Drix.
Yeah, the all-important Gen Z research.
Drix, I don't know how we expect to grow as an industry if we don't, put video games on phones.
Wow. Peripherals, streaming your games, not even owning them.
Not even owning it. Ooh, we'll get to that a little bit later on in the show. But Polygon, Drix, they're not the only ones with some spicy post-GDC gossip.
Yeah, Phil Spencer may have taken the cake, but let's see what we hear from other sources.
Yeah, the folks over at gamesindustry.biz, they have their microcast, and their boots on the ground say that the game devs have doubts on the PS5 Pro. So not just Microsoft, but now we got PlayStation over here with game devs saying, what the hell's the point?
Yeah, I mean, they gave us the hardware. Maybe we'll see some nice third-party games, but maybe it's all just happening too fast. And, people don't have enough scratch to have the latest thing all the time nowadays.
So the video is, quote, GI Microcast, GDC 2024, PS5 Pro, and more. During the podcast, head of gamesindustry.biz, Chris Dring, he starts around 3-minute 50 mark. He starts talking about the leak specs that for the upcoming PlayStation 5 upgrade, the PlayStation 5 Pro. And shortly after that 4-minute mark, he says, quote, I'll be honest, I didn't meet a single person that understood the point of it. He follows it up with remarks that further paint the mid-generation upgrade in a poor light, such as, quote, it isn't going to grow the market, and, quote, this console generation doesn't even seem to have gotten started, really. Like you said, Drix, now I'm a happy PS5 owner, honestly. I really do like my PS5. I play it a good amount. I booted up a lot last year. But, I mean, I definitely don't see a need for a mid-generation upgrade quite yet.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten my PS5.
Hey!
I could have one within the next week or so. But yeah, there's still so much I need to experience. I'm kind of in the line of thinking that, yeah, this hasn't really started yet. But of course, mid-generation upgrade, why not? I don't know. Thinking they're getting itches in the wrong places.
Yeah, it definitely seems like, well, I think this kind of goes hand in hand with what we were talking about a couple weeks back with, I think this is what you might want to look at when you're hearing Sony saying PlayStation's in the, quote, latter years, right?
Yeah, but it's just, what's the rush? Like, what are they trying to get to other than maybe putting out more hardware?
Well,
like, I don't know.
Michael Pachter over our good buddy over at Sifted, Sifted guys, shout out always. They're great. You really want to know what's going on with the industry. You listen to the Sifted podcast. They're the real ones. But he says that he said straight up that this generation was not a huge leap in tech from the last generation, and that's why you keep seeing games coming out for last generation. Like games, Open Roads is coming out for PS4. That game, it's a 2024 release. Like, you have all these games that come out on the PS4. Hogwarts Legacy is on the PS4, right? Like,
yeah,
Unicorn Overlord is on the PS4. Like,
yeah, it's enough. There's enough power there to make good games and enjoy them, and people that know how to make art with it will continue to do so.
Yeah, and it's still really it's not like it's an Xbox 360. I mean, I can't even poo-poo that because that's essentially what a Switch is. So, like,
Yeah.
it's interesting to think how this generation has played out, especially with I'm gonna say the schizophrenic nature of it, where you can kind of see it in the game releases. Like, this game rides the line. Hogwarts Legacy, going back to that, is a really good release that like really shows you how hard a game dev and a publisher is willing to ride the line on what it means to release a game on another platform that has a bigger install base. Because let's face it, PS4 still has a huge install base. Tons of people still have their PS4. Like, you could play your PS4 games on a PS5, but I don't know if there's like, I think personally, I don't know what people say, like, oh man, no, PS5 has no games. PS5 has plenty of games. There's a lot of good games that you can play on PS5. I could name 5 off the top of my head. Returnal, Spider-Man 2, Marvel Midnight Suns, Need for Speed. I love the new Need for Speed. Fuck everybody else. And Tekken 8, right there.
Yeah. Helldivers.
Final Fantasy 7.
Final Fantasies.
Both Final
16.
Fantasies, 16, 7. Like, there's a lot to play that you can only play on the PlayStation 5. Even games that like people say are like mid, like the new Avatar Frontiers of Pandora game. Guys, that game is on sale for $40 these days, and it's like
some people really like it, actually.
And it's like the best looking video game you can play. Like this, I don't know if anyone's seen that game.
Rise of the Ronin just came out.
Yeah, Rise of the Ronin just came out. PS5 exclusive. Like Dragon's Dogma 2, PS5, Xbox Series X, Series S exclusive. Like, yeah, can you play these games on PC? Well, you can play Dragon's Dogma on PC, sure. But like, again, Dragon's Dogma is once again one of these games that is like suffering from just, I guess, being on PC. Like,
yeah, that's one way of putting it.
So if you want if you want a good, reliable gaming platform, like if you want a good machine that you can just come home, play some games for like a couple hours, and then switch it over to Netflix when you're done, so you can watch Char's Counterattack, like,
yes.
While you're eating your grilled cheese, that's your PS5, bro. It plays the best stuff. It plays Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, I mean, what's not to love there? And, a lot of PS4 games that I have, Elden Ring, Diablo 4, and I think Armored Core 6, I already have a PS5 version of, so
yeah,
it's
so it's like, so you're not even losing, you're really not losing anything. If anything, you're gaining from upgrading to a PS5 if you are a PS4 owner. So I understand where people might be if they're apprehensive, if they have like a monster PC, but that's the only kind of PC that's going to get you anywhere in this day and age with all these crazy new releases and all their bad ass backwards hardware compatibility problems. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yourself some time in the configuration menus, adjusting your video settings.
Yeah, or I guess at the end of the day, you could buy a Switch, and
yeah.
And that
Princess
thing is
Peach Showtime.
And plays Princess Peach and plays Unicorn Overlord.
Yes.
Like,
that's not the wrong answer either.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
By no
not.
means.
But speaking of Nintendo Switch, Drix, what is this upbeat poppiness that sounds like it's coming straight out of a Switch?
Well, it's definitely from Japan. This is it's an import you probably won't find in the States, called Dolucky's A-League Soccer. This is the theme of Poochie Funky Dogs.
Poochie Funky Dogs from Dolucky's AD Soccer. Whoa, here we go. This Japanese wild ride, CFM Radio. We'll see you in a minute with our closing story. Be right back.
CFM Radio.
CFM Radio, we are live.
We're back. That was the PlayStation 2 version of Chala, Head Chala from Dragon Ball Z Budokai.
Dragon Ball Z Budokai also coming back as Sparking Zero. Made a point. Sparking made a point to the devs, making a point to say that it was Dragon Ball Z Budokai during their presentation.
Yeah, from last week's news.
Yeah, which is pretty fun. But we, unfortunately, Drix, I gotta say, we're gonna end this show with a glimpse into the future.
Ooh. In the year 2000.
I mean, in the year 2024, right? Like,
yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this, let's do this. There we go. Now, we all know about game ownership and physical media and game preservation, but what if I told you Blizzard Entertainment does not care?
What?
From
Not our boys over at Blizzard.
From our boy Blizzard.com, their new end user license agreement, the EULA, has a couple of interesting new notes about game ownership and how you, frankly, don't have it as of March 21st, 2024. Drix, I don't know if you're counting, but that was 6 days ago.
Oh boy. Yeah, they pulled the rug out from under us and our game ownership, didn't they?
It's sounding like it, Drix. Now, this one is coming straight from the EULA page.
Yeah, all the fine print we don't read when trying to play a video game.
Yeah,
user license agreements.
Yikeronis, you sign up for it and say you agree to it just by playing the game. And this one, front and center at the top of the third paragraph. Quote, your use of the platform is licensed, not sold to you, and you hereby acknowledge that no title or ownership with respect to the platform or the game is being transferred or assigned, and this agreement should not be construed as a sale of any rights.
Yes, we take your money, you have no rights to nothing.
We take your money, you get to use this platform and use these games. You don't own them.
Huh. All right. Certainly not a cartridge. Or
yeah,
a CD.
Yeah. You know, sections B and C of Part 1 of the EULA outline exactly the capacity in which you have access to your games, with Part 2 of the document outlining Blizzard's ownership in detail. And you know what, Drix? While this isn't a huge surprise, seeing as the Battle.net platform is largely a digital entity, right, like Steam, as I had mentioned before, these rules are the newest ways to simply subvert ownership of a game that you paid for, regardless of how you did it.
Yeah, could be something, you bought a while ago and thought you actually owned.
Yeah, and I'll be clear. This EULA does make sure to make note of how you purchase the game, but if it's going through BattleNet, and it also goes into detail about how utilizing BattleNet in of itself is sort of like a you're agreeing to, from that point you access BattleNet on that the ownership of anything that you're experiencing, anything that you buy, anything that you obtain through BattleNet, it's not yours.
Huh. Yeah, kind of like all our Steam libraries, I guess.
I mean, well, that's not true. You own your Steam games.
Yeah, right?
You own those games. You have the rights to those games. All those games, if you really, really wanted to, all those games can be bound to a key, right? Like a CD key, right? Like you could still get product keys from these like weird third-party sites, right? Like the Kingwins and the G2As of the world. That's what they do. They sell you the license keys. So you still have ownership of this license of the game that you can use. Blizzard games, not so much.
Yeah, not anymore. Not since they reworded that agreement.
Yeah, you pretty again, I want to give this the most charitable look that you can, even though I personally hate it. I do want to make sure that I'm giving the company their due. There is a lot of language in this that has to do with third-party properties.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, they're vendors, they're people that they have contracts with and such.
So, in that kind of way, we just saw, I don't know if you are a big Overwatch player or know anybody who plays Overwatch, but Overwatch just had like a Cowboy Bebop crossover. Like, so you could buy Cowboy Bebop skins for your characters. So like, I can, from a certain aspect, I can understand that, like, hey, to protect Shueisha, right?
Yes.
For them to not sue us to shit, that...
To protect Disney Fortnite.
Yeah, to protect Disney Fortnite, and making sure that Disney Fortnite doesn't sue us into fucking oblivion. Like,
yes.
we have to kind of say that you don't own anything.
Well, now.
Because we can't say that because you bought the Spike Spiegel skin that you own Spike Spiegel.
Yeah, cosmetic or otherwise.
Yeah.
It's a license to Spike Spiegel. Or
Yeah.
Space Cowboys.
And again, if you looking into Section 3, they spell out exactly how they own it. And that is one of those things, like, you do not own any cosmetics, you do not own any designs, you have no right to redistribute any of these things that you obtain, nothing. Like, they're really clear about it.
Yeah, just like the FBI warning on the beginning of your VHS tape.
Yeah, very much so. Very much FBI warning on your VHS tape vibes.
Well, not the worst thing, I guess.
Not the worst thing, but like
see how this grows.
Yeah, we'll sign of the times, Drix. Sign of the times.
Yeah, here's to owning your games on discs and playing them in cartridges.
That retro game market is seeming more and more appealing by the day, Drix.
Yeah, or there's always your faithful ROM backup.
Yes, make sure you back up all those CDs. Discrot is a real thing, people. Make sure you back up all your games.
Yeah, keep it with you. Hand them off to your kids.
Do something. Do not let these things go unplayed, become unplayable, all that stuff. But you know what? We definitely are not going to sit idly by while these games go unplayed because, Drix, I think it's time to go play some games.
Yep, right about time to go get the clan together and have a good night, everyone.
Everybody have a good night. Thank you for joining us on CFM Radio every Wednesday. Obviously, we will not be having any Tuesday gameplay stream next week. Maybe not for 2 weeks. I definitely want to see how quickly we can get votes into these polls. So remember, the first poll, on any of our socials, just make sure you go onto one of them. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, anything. The first poll will be whether or not we're going to do yesterday's games today, and that will be on Tuesday's streams, or if we just jump in to a brand new iteration of RPG Theater. Maybe we'll go for a meteor title this time, but that's the next big poll. We want to hear from you so that we have something fresh for you guys to sink your teeth into on Tuesdays over on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/CFM on Twitch. Make sure you're following us over there. Make sure you're dropping us a subscribe right here on YouTube for CFM Radio every Wednesday with the best video game news, headlines, and music spun by none other than DJ Drix. Drix, thank you very much for spinning.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Always digging around for those fresh tracks, and would love to hear requests on songs you want to hear on CFM Radio.
Make sure you send those requests on, again, any social media platform. We'll make sure we can do our best to find the tracks that you want to hear. So thank you again, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight. We hope you guys are ready to game as much as we are.
Yes.
Have a good night, everybody. Make sure to follow us on all of our socials. We'll see you next week.